don't expect that a lot of people went and watched the video, which is okay. Which is why I want to play it through today. And then what I want to do is obviously build that listener as much as we can together. All right. So the BMH composite listener, of which then that's how you draw your survey and put that together. Based on that, then you will take your survey and you will go, for example, to the next step, to the music testing, etc., which is what we'll start doing, like I say, on Monday. I'm saying we'll start scavenging for the music on Monday, where you've got the Wi-Fi, I'm saying to you, because you have to download the songs. And hence why I wanted to make sure it's when you are on campus. Okay. All right, but there is a short lesson around, I'm saying there is just some short theoretics that I'll tell you why I won't focus too much on the theoretics is because they are a summarization of what you will see in the video. You understand? So I hope you can see that. Can you just make sure?
Yeah, okay.
Can you? Okay, good. All right. So let's quickly talk about this composite listener. Just a little bit of a reintroduction or a summary as to what this is. When we start to do anything, I'm saying, so the processes of understanding or reformatting or rescheduling, or doing everything around, what happens in and around our radio station, it's based on our understanding of this composite listener, this typical listener that we are basically we're targeting at the end of the day. The typical listener, for example, will let you know how, like, every aspect of their life, whether it is in terms of what they aspire, what they're afraid of, what they hold dear to themselves. Like, is it family? Is it success? Is it, you know, um, fitness or health or whatever it may be, different aspects of this particular listener's lifestyle, which again, you've heard many, many times throughout, the past 3 weeks, just because we've mentioned it in RAMs, we've mentioned it obviously in understanding, how to approach radio in general. And again, just our movement forward. I say it's not something new to build, I'm saying, an understanding around who the listener is. But the thing is that, so Tracy Johnson went and just created this cool video that makes you understand it just a little bit better and puts it together up in a nice little understandable bundle, processed bundle, right? Again, what benefits do we have of this? For example, when I was working for Ryan Seacrest, so when I was producing the South African version of his show, I learned so much about Ryan, one, in the way that he does radio. At first, it seemed very kind of vanilla, kind of surface level, until obviously I had to produce more and more of the show, and I wanted to understand what Ryan was like, right? And he would, even one of the smallest things is that he actually goes and he gets a picture, right? So like an actual photograph or a magazine picture or whatever it is, right? Doesn't matter, right? Some printout that looks most like
What's
the
that?
listener that is their typical listener, where I think he's on Kiss FM. I'm not sure right now. It could have been, I haven't checked quite recently, but anyway. And the thing is, he would talk to that particular listener. He would talk to that particular image, and so that the mannerisms and the stuff that he would say and the way that he would address that particular person would be directly in front of him. And that, um, uh, sorry, let me uh, just give me a second here, please. Right, I shared the link after actually on campus. Yeah, okay. All right, so let me just switch that off. Okay, I'm just saying uh the the phone. Right. Anyway, so when you talk to different people, just kind of to understand why this was quite effective in the way that he would do radio shows and why he is actually a great radio host is if you had to put a different picture up in front of you, so a different photo, so let's say it was an older woman, or certain, obviously, of a race and ethnicity, right? Of a different, like I say, sex, of a different, again, kind of class, whatever it may be, right? You would talk to them differently as you would speak to those particular different types of people in real life, right? Not because you are, when I say, let's say there's someone of a little higher class, it's not like you're talking to them with more respect. I'm not talking about that. Like, that's your own. I'm saying that's a personal flaw. When you decide to treat people differently, it's not about treating people in this case. It's about talking to them directly and making sure that you communicate in terms of what they understand as what they are facing, and obviously processing as life, right? the whole the whole lesson is about really just understanding who, what, and why, I suppose, this typical listener is the way that they are. And then, again, the approach is to really getting to understand, um, the nitty gritty of this particular, uh, like I say, listen, the YouTube video should be uploaded to Call Campus, but if not, here is a link to it. I'm going to play directly with my PC, right? And there are things that I want you to just note here. So why do we want to build the typical composite listener? As I explained to you just before, we can do everything that we want to in a radio station based on that particular person. So we can definitely target them better in terms of the types of clients and services that we're advertising, right? The types of events that we want to create. So it'll be catered towards what this particular listener likes and is obviously fitting in towards, or it's into their lifestyle and their preferences or whatever it may be, right? We can obviously create content, and we can even choose presenters and teams, and create certain shows and specialty shows around that as well, right? And also getting a team together that holistically understands this type of audience, right? So the typical listener is quite specific, right? So you'll see that when we look at this hypothetical listener in the video, who's called Amy. There's very specific things about Amy. And you're going to say to me, well, if it's so specific, how does it apply further to many other people, but that are quite like Amy? And that's the thing. So, for example, this particular hypothetical woman, let's say, is a single mother, right? So you say, well, let's say the majority of our listeners are not single mothers. But the thing is, again, because she's within that age group in the same type of thinking, she deals with relationships in a particular type of way. So we can talk about relationships that are broken or separated or severed, right? And we can talk about paranoia in relationships and trust that is or isn't built. We can talk about the different dynamics of relationships in 2024, right? We can talk about how to be a successful parent or a single parent, right? As well, we can talk about different conversations that you should have with your child. I'm saying to you, in this day and age, right? So if we can understand that the majority of our listeners actually are maybe young parents, right, and that with young children, we can also definitely start to advertise, schooling, and we can advertise school products, and we can advertise, maybe child psychologists, or we can, and whatever it is, we can start, looking at, certain clothing stores, and, I say, what is it? Like technical stores. What is it? Man, what am I trying to think of? Things where you're going to go get, let's say, devices and whatever it is, because each young person, I was saying, within a family, would need maybe a tablet or a certain device or learning, whatever it is, right? Just off the fact that I said one thing, which is Amy is at this point a single parent with a young child, right? And I could start many different, I say, branches of trying to look at how I can make programming and station decisions based on just that one simple fact, right? So very important. Again, I keep saying it, otherwise we're going to be teaching it to you. This composite listener plays a massive role. But what is their lifestyle? and what are the areas that are so important to identifying them and again their life in this process, and how do they translate into tangible outcomes in building the format of a radio station. And then we look at OAR, which is very important in, I've said radio in general, but OAR is, I think is it? Yeah, there it is. It's defined there later. Okay, observe, ask, and research. Let's quickly look at some general points here when we need to understand before we start creating this composite profile, right? We want to look at the listener's brain. There's obviously, we use a very small percentage of our brain, but we are very intellectual creatures, right? So we can process a lot of information, and we can make a lot of decisions in singular moments, right? And we can like the body is obviously quite an amazing a piece of work, I say, right? But the way that we just okay, see there, okay. So the way that we obviously, just look at our listeners, we want to also look at their behaviors and their manner. I said that not their mannerisms. I suppose the mannerisms in some very small extent, but their mannerisms, the behaviors. Again, what triggers them? What emotions are they driven by within their life? Right, and that is very important to again start understanding their environment. Are they middle class? Are they lower class? Are they mid to lower class? Are they career driven? Again, is it a family thing, or how do they perceive health? Where do they again buy stuff? How do they perceive money? And riches, whatever it may be. How do they define success, etc. Right? Where do they spend their time? Who do they spend it with? How do they, obviously spend? I'm saying, I think I've mentioned this, but money, right? The battleground is highly contested, right? Everyone else is competing for attention too, in terms of like us as a medium, right? We're looking at making sure that we also can grab parts of this attention's lifestyle, right? So they can dedicate it to us, as well as, let's say, TV, as well as like the stimulation in their life around them, the importance of whatever it is that's driving them, and any other kind of, say, information medium, right? So just some little fun facts. Average consumers are exposed to 5,000 ad messages per day. How truthful that is and accurate is, I mean, I can't say it's the complete truth, but we it's to show that so many different um say information, I say bursts are given to us, right? In a day. It doesn't mean you process every one of them. In fact, you process actually very little, because your brain and you choose to only process, I'm saying, messages that are sent to you, quote unquote, right? In any way, shape, or form that are propagating something. Um, we decide that's important to us. That's 312 messages per house, 10 per minute, or one every 6 seconds, right? And life acts as a barrier to getting through to them. I'm saying the listener, right? The person to all of these particular messages that are sent to you. And we get pushed, I'm saying we as a platform, right, and a medium get pushed to the background because people are very highly and overly stimulated in many different avenues of their everyday lives, right? So radio to some extent has lost its importance, right? But that is, again, I think it's, for me, I think it's the way that you have a perspective about certain things in life. For radio to have lost its importance, it has not fulfilled its purpose, I'm saying, to that listener. So, what is radio there for? It is there for every other reason that print is not, TV is not, digital is not. And I suppose maybe one on one interactions. I'm saying your daily interactions aren't, right? So subliminal messaging and subliminal information or whatever it is to your thought patterns. If radio doesn't do what it's supposed to do, right, within its strengths and play to its strengths and why it's been popular, I'm saying, and a medium that has been consumed for a century now, then that's why it'll lose importance, right? So we know that yes, we understand the I'm saying like your cell phone has become so much more. In fact, kind of it reflects an extension of pretty much every part of your life, right? So, for example, time management, right, would be one. For example, calendar, clocks, alarms, that type of stuff, right? Tasks that are assigned, whatever it may be, right? Reminders. We can look at traffic and weather, for example, easily off our phones. We can find many varied apps that are either, more complicated or complex, that can, depending on how much importance we want, we put in the weather. Maybe it affects our daily lives in a way that we have a certain occupation that the weather does affect our everyday outcomes. So we might have obviously more advanced apps, whatever it may be, right? But it does, like I say, it tells the time, tells you the weather. It can tell you when you want to eat. It can remind you about a friend's birthday. It obviously gives you access to around the world. And also, I'm saying over and above everything else that you've got in there, right? Which we've got an app for pretty much everything and anything, right? That we now have as an extension to what that phone is. At the very least, it allows you to call, right? Which is the whole point of a phone, like a telephone, right? Allows you to make a call to someone and you can speak to someone on the other side, right? Television morning shows are programmed for audio only consumption, right? And that's interesting, right? So television morning shows are produced or programmed for audio only consumption. Um, Debatable. So I'm going to just move that along. Uh, so like obviously connected cars, in which we have the quite complex dashboards as well, make us alive, make us available to our listeners or our consumers. But also, these dashboards have become complex in ways that they can find or entertain or, obviously subsidize whatever needs a particular person has within the context of them driving a car, right? So, this means that we need to make our shows indispensable as much as we can, and meaningful content that connects the brain to the heart is more important than ever, right? Okay. So at the end of the day, if your content and your shows are not great and yes, your music and yes, again, the culmination of everything, then what is the point of having an expectation that you're going to have someone want to listen to your station and sometimes need to listen to your station? So either or, right? Okay. When we look at the composite listener, we've got to look at three steps, right? Ask or observe, ask, and research, right? So we want to be able to observe that exact listener, right? So a type of that listener. What are they? So we want to observe their life, and we don't want to necessarily interrupt that process either. So we can do that quite literally and physically, right? So we can go out to where we know our listener is hanging out, or where they are working, or where they're going to church, or whether they are where they are with their families, and we can see how they behave and what they do. I'm saying even if it's routine or mechanical, whatever it may be, right? We can see exactly what their life is all about. We then can obviously ask. We have to ask questions to make what our perceptions of them, right? A reality, and also to validate stuff, to get more understanding or clarity. And then we'd go and then research, right? And we go and research that particular target market or group, um, and then move to creating our composite listener. These are the questions that, or some of the questions, not all, but you'll get a very good idea from where we're going with all of this, because again, it's about the lifestyle. Samples of what you'll learn is how they live, okay? So what's important to them, their regrets, where they go, what they do. Second, yeah. See someone's, oh, okay. All right, here you can, okay, I don't have to admit you guys. You can obviously admit yourselves in on your own. Great. Okay. All right. What they do, right? What they find likable, what they worry about, where they hang out, what are their dreams, what are their priorities, how they spend free time, what they talk about with their friends, how they are biased, what's exciting to them, where they go on vacation, where they hang out, who they admire, why they do what they do, and what they want to be. All of this is again covered in this video that I want to play you. So we will break this down together post video. Okay, so post video. Then we will build this composite here based on what we find from these type of questions that we'll ask and answer, right? Using the data that we find from these particular questions and more, we will start to create a composite so that we can talk to one specific person, as I said to you, directly. And again, the way that you speak to different types of people in your life should then tell you why it's so important to understand this particular person and how everything changes in its own slight and obviously contextually relevant way when we're speaking to this particular person over here. So we want to obviously tap into emotive, right? So emotional radio, and not always I'm saying to you, to make them cry or make them laugh, but it really is about if you can connect with this listener in any way that is real and it is relevant, you will then know that they'll have an emotional response, which is a connection to you and the station and your show and everything that you're doing, because you have now connected with this particular person in a way that makes them part of what you are doing. So part of the family, part of the community, part of the club. I'm saying that radio station's club, right? So this enables you to program obviously to the heart of their and the composite expands topic potential because you know how to relate to them. It doesn't change what you do, but it does affect how you do it, because all stations do the same thing. I'm saying the purpose of radio station remains the same across any I'm saying platform, I'm saying any one of the I'm saying the groupings, right? Like the PBS to commercial, international, community, campus, doesn't matter, right? But the effect of how we do eat, and I'm saying what we do, how we do what we do changes because of this particular listener, right? The audience will change over time, life changes, and your composite will evolve. That's why we do it quite often. We do this entire research process quite often and regularly, because we can't stay in the past. People's life changes. They also grow with the station. They might outgrow you, but new people will grow into that station, right? Depending on what it is that you are offering. So it's important to regularly update that, and then obviously that's how we can sustain success over a long period of time. I'm going to play the video now, and then we are going to I'm going to pull up a Word document here, and then we'll break down school, friends, relationship, sex, online, social, and family. We're going to break it down according to the composite listener. Okay. So, before I play the video, are there any questions, just in general? Does that make sense? I think it was, if I remember, Tion. Is that right? Good. Jewel, fine.
Yes, sir. Everything's
Good.
clear.
Okay, great. So I'm going to just share this video with you. Let's just through the sound. Please make notes of it. I know you can go and you can watch it at any one given time. I'm saying rewatch it, which I obviously encourage. But I want you to think about, as you are are watching the video, which is 20 minutes long, right? Just sit back and enjoy, and have a break from my voice. And then, like I say, make points as to what immediately pops up in terms of the BMH student. Okay. All right. Where is this thing? Over here. See how where did I put this? Why is it not showing my video? Just give me a second. Yeah, just give me a second. Give me 2 seconds. I have no idea why it's not showing the actual player. Just give me a second. It's going to be quick. Find for you here. Alternatively, I can just go to the actual link I'm doing here. Okay. Give me a second. Here it comes. All right. So let's include, let me just share that. Include sound.
When you turn on the microphone, do you know who you're talking to? You talking to yourself,
Yeah.
or a demographic, or the program director's idea of who your listener might be? In radio, we like to think that our target is usually defined by the rating service. For example, your station may focus on 18 to 49-year-olds. Really? You're that broad? No, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking we're really targeted. We focus on 18 to 49-year-old women. Let me tell you something. A lot of stations in the world want 18 to 49-year-old women. So who specifically is your target? Is it this 49-year-old? Or is it this 18-year-old? Really? Your target? That broad? What do these two people really have in common? And how do you broadcast to both of them? Maybe you need a little bit more focus. In a few minutes, I'll introduce you to Amy, and I'll show you how to build a composite listener target that allows you to really get to know your listener instead of sweeping everybody into the middle and generalizing about it. And when you're finished, you'll feel like you really know Amy. This gives your station power, the power to allow individual listeners to feel like you're just for them. And that's at the very core of one-to-one communication, where you're broadcasting to many, but making each individual really feel it. I'm Tracy Johnson. Welcome to Know Your Listener, a seminar on how to build a composite target profile that enables you to communicate with listeners personally, intimately, and emotionally. To begin, we have to get deep inside the brain. In each listener's brain, there's a tiny space that's receptive to incoming messages, to new stimulus. This valuable space is attention, and attention is hard to get. Now, your job is to penetrate their awareness, to cut through all the noise and become meaningful to them. That little dot, that little attention is the gateway to the heart. The heart, just 18 inches lower, is the key to winning loyalty. But the battleground is highly contested because everybody else is competing for attention too. And we're not really just competing with other radio stations, but with everything else and everyone else for that attention. And the listener is doing their best to ignore you. They build a little bubble around their attention. They protect it because they have a life. And that life adds a barrier to getting through to them. Things are more important to them, like chores and activities and their families and their jobs and paying the rent this month and even going out and stopping to get groceries. They're doing a million things at once, multitasking. And your radio station, your show, your personality, it's all in the background. You're competing with all of these other things for attention that they're trying to protect. Now, how serious has it become? It's certainly got more difficult to get the listener's attention over the past few years. The average consumer receives 5,000 advertising messages per day. All of them are carefully crafted to edge your message out. So what does that equal? In a 16-hour day, about how long you're awake, that's 312 messages per hour, or 10 messages a minute, or a new message competing for attention every 6 seconds. To earn their attention, we have to become more important. And that means being an indispensable part of their personal life, part of their routine, part of their lifestyle, something that they feel like they can't live without. And that means reflecting their lives now, in the moment, identifying who they are and really connecting with them. We must be relevant personally, and we must be relatable with your personality. And that's getting harder and harder. Regardless of your target, the way the audience uses radio has changed as well. Now, it wasn't that long ago that radio was already an important part of their lives. The alarm would go off in the morning and the radio would come on. It's different now, isn't it? The alarm comes off in the morning and they turn their phone off. We were their source to find out how to dress today, what the weather's going to be. Now, click of an app, I know what the weather's going to be. I don't need you to tell me about it. We also told them how long it was going to take them to get to work. With the traffic report, traffic is now on my phone. And we also provided a connection to the outside world, to their friends, give them a sense of community. Now everyone builds their own community. And they also discovered new music from us, new songs. The morning show is their constant companion for a lot of reasons that were already built in. But all of that has been replaced. And if you add to that the fact that television stations are now programmed for audio, it means we have new competition for entertainment in the home. So they can enjoy the television show without actually watching the television show. And in some cases, if you look at this TV show, it might be better if they're not seeing the hosts that are on the TV. So it's not surprising that we're losing the war for attention at home in the morning. Look at this chart. Survey asked, why do you not listen to the radio in the morning? This is people who said, I don't turn the radio on until I get to the car. The number one answer at 40%, I'm too busy. Really? I'm too busy to turn on a radio? In fact, 2/3 of this panel, 40 plus 27%, are either too busy or they don't think of it. 67%. I don't think we have a radio problem. I think we have an importance problem, a relevance problem, a relatability problem. And that means we're just not important enough to matter. The role we play in their life has changed. They really don't need us anymore. And that means we have to make our shows more indispensable. It means that meaningful content that connects the brain to the heart is more important than ever before. And that starts with really knowing who your listener is. I teach my clients to do this by building a listener composite profile, which will enable you to connect to the heart. Now, this process creates a connection that allows great personalities to reach a very broad audience while focusing on a very narrow target. That's why Ryan Seacrest and The Burt Show and Jeff and Jer will attract demographics that are far outside of their target. In fact, The Burt Show reaches as many 35 to 44-year-olds as they do 18 to 24-year-olds, but they've got a much narrower target than that. Now, it takes some work to gather this data. We do it with what I call the OAR method, O-A-R. O stands for observe. Observe their lives. Read what they read. We go where they go. We do what they do. We watch what they watch. We be where they are. We eavesdrop on them. We pay attention when they're talking, when they're standing in line at Starbucks or at the movie theater. We listen to what they're saying and how they're saying it. In other words, our ears are up, our attention is up, our antenna is up, and we're always paying attention to what's going on in their lives. All of these things, through observation, are subtle clues that will help us get to know them more. The A is to ask them. We have to be curious. We have to start conversations. We have to find out what's happening in their lives. Ask them on social media. We can start conversations at promotions and appearances and events instead of hiding in the tent or the station van. Don't hide. Ask them. Indulge them. They love it when you talk to them about them because they're very self-indulgent. Find out what they care about. Find out what motivates them. Find out what they worry about, what they discuss with their friends. So we ask. And third, we research. Focus groups are great for this. Instead of asking the typical radio question, ask questions about their lifestyle. We can gather 8 or 10 listeners in an informal setting around a hotel ballroom or a conference room or really anywhere. We can buy them some pizza and some soft drinks and find out about their lives, not just their radio listening, but about them. Because if you know everything there is to know about them, it becomes a lot easier to program your station and your show to appeal to them. There's a lot of ways to do this. You can get your friends involved. You can get coworkers and other departments involved, listeners from your database. You conduct polls, and surveys online. One of the best resources is to ask open-ended questions before your music test begins. And I'm going to give you an example of how one of my clients did that, and it changed the way they programmed their station in a little while. You can also build survey questions that you insert into every online contest or promotion that you create. I can show you how to do that if you want to contact me. This is how you connect with Amy. Now remember Amy? Let's build a composite profile of Amy's life and go through the steps of how to do it. These are some of the things we're going to discover about Amy. We're going to find out how she lives, what's important to her, what are her biases and her regrets. We're going to learn where she goes and what she does. We're going to find what she finds likable, what she worries about, where she hangs out. What are her dreams, her priorities? How does she spend her free time? What does she talk about when she and her friends go out for drinks? How is she going to spend her free time this summer? Is she going on vacation? Where is she going to go? What does she want to do? What's exciting to her? Who does she admire? Why does she do the things that she does? Why does she have the job that she has? What does she want to be when she gets a little bit older? What are her ambitions, her self-image, her fears, her hobbies, and what are her turn-ons and turn-offs? And a lot more. Then, armed with this data from OAR, remember OAR is observe, ask, and research, we'll build a composite listener profile. It's a profile that's represented by one specific person. In our case, we're calling her Amy. We're going to build her life profile that represents a broad range of emotions and attributes. Now, we've already identified things like where she goes, what she does, what drives her, what impacts her, and her tastes. We're going to then build a description of Amy, a detailed description, make her come alive in a very real way. In our case, in this case study, Amy is a young adult woman. She's 23 years old. Now, this imaginary station that we're programming is a top 40 station, so it makes sense that Amy's 23. That's right in the heart of the station's 15 to old target demographic. Now, because there's a lot of different types of Amy's in the audience, Amy has a child. She's a single mom. She's not married. So she has a life experience. Having a child allows parenting issues to come into the show because a lot of the listeners who are between that 15 and 34-year-old female target demographic have kids. So we want to make sure that our composite of Amy represents that part of their lives. But being unmarried makes her young, single, and hip. And it means that she's out in the dating circle as well. So our composite of Amy represents people who are both single and people who are married, people who have kids and people who don't have kids. She's friendly with the child's father, but they aren't together. And she's dating some, but she's not really serious about anybody right now. She thinks men are kind of shallow, but she really is looking for Mr. Right, which means her relationships are complicated. She has a lot of dating issues. Relationships are important to her, but she understands and relates to some mature problems as well. So you're kind of getting the idea of how we can talk to one person and have that one person represent a much broader audience. She was going to a university, but she had to drop out and go to work full-time because of the baby. In fact, she has 2 jobs that she's working. That means that Amy is struggling, just like a lot of people who aren't able to find a job right now. They're worried about their future. Amy's worried about her future. She's worried about her career. She's worried about her life. And this allows us to talk about school because she hasn't completed school yet. It also allows us to talk about work, about success, and about failure. Her 2 jobs, she works at night as a waitress and a hairstylist part-time during the day. She's just a single mom trying to make ends meet with a strong work ethic, and she's responsible. Now, she's not in the job she wants. She would like to go back and finish her education, but she's looking for something more, most like most of the people who are in that target demographic. As a result, Amy has money issues, just like the audience. She's living at home with her parents to save money to buy a condo. Now, living at home with her parents means that she has parent issues, just like the younger end of the demo, those between 15 and 19 or 20 or 21. And some of the older end of the demo might be struggling with some of their older kids as well. So again, you can see how this is much more mass appeal than just a single 23-year-old. She's obsessed with celebrities and their lives. Pop culture is very important to her. And this includes style and fashion, the latest clothes that come out, fashion and what's new and what's hip. She can't afford to shop the more upscale places, so she spends most of her time and money shopping at the mall and going to Walmart, H&M, Banana Republic, Gap, Costco, and places like that. She's really busy with the 2 jobs and the child at home, so she does carry out at least 2 times a week, sometimes more. And she'll usually go out with her friends on either Friday or Saturday nights, and usually it's with her close friends, some of them still from high school. That's where they talk about guys and money and clothes and celebrities. She hates things like big egos and double standards and being tired, and she's always tired. And she hates how other people drive. She hates being fat, but she's not really fat. She just thinks she is. She cares about her child, her family. She cares about her appearance. She cares about getting a better job and a better career, about finding that guy, and about money. So by now, you probably have a pretty good picture of Amy and who she is, right? But it's important to go a little bit further. We're not done yet. We want to take Amy's attributes, her qualities, and break it down into a snapshot that identifies the emotional Amy, the topics that really represent the composite. This is where we define not just what Amy does, but who Amy is. This is where we build a psychological profile of Amy. And when we build this psychological profile, we can put it all on one sheet so it's right in front of you. And as you take a look at all of the different topics, and not really topics, but attributes, different characteristics of Amy's life, you can see how a lot of different topics will fit into these characteristics. These characteristics actually drive the topics because we want to speak to the heart of Amy, to the emotions, to be really provocative in creating a response from Amy. For example, friends are important in her life. That means parties. A lot of the relationships that she has aren't face to face anymore, they're by text. There's a distance. A lot of her friends from high school have moved away, so there's distance in the friendships. Some of the friendships and relationships that she has are with coworkers. She's also making some new friends, and a lot of the new friends are replacing some old friends, and she's struggling with that. Social media is a big part of her social life too, and relating to friends, and that's replacing some of the in-person interaction. Another part of Amy's life is school. She's worried about being unemployed. She's worried about her career. She's has a fear of failing. She is feeling a little bit guilty because she dropped out of school because she had to. She'd like to go back to school, which gives her conflicts in her mind. She feels a little bit unfulfilled. She would love to balance her life a little bit more between her family, between work and school, but she just doesn't have the time. And housing's a problem too. She just can't afford to move out of her parents' home and be on her own because she's saving up so she can finish her career and get back to school. Relationships are really important. So is social media. A lot of her life is built around social media, whether that's Facebook and Instagram. She's worried about her profile, putting the right things that are out there. It's a little bit egocentric, and it's also exaggerated a little bit. She's kind of living another life online. Relationships are a critical part of what she's all about. She's single, but she's got a lot of characteristics of a married person in that she has a child. She has definite opinions about cheating and about dating and about boundaries, and she's worried and wondering about sex and finding a guy when she has a kid. So all of these things enter into the mindset and the lifestyle that she lives. Self-image is an important part of it too. She'd like to exercise more, but she doesn't, and that makes her feel fat, even though she's not. So it's the guilt that she feels and that concern for impressing others. So she watches what she eats, but she can't help herself but eating fries. She's worried about finding enough time for herself so she can work out a little bit more. All of these things enter into the stress and the lack of sleep that she has, which affect Amy's self-confidence and her self-image. And her family is an important part of it too. They're helping raise her child. She also has an older sister that didn't come into the profile, but she does, and that brings in some drama. She's worried, starting to get worried about her parents' health and what happens when they get older. And she also has some concerns about her parents' expectations for her. They're disappointed that she isn't finishing school and that she doesn't have a better job. All of these things affect how Amy thinks, how she responds, how she reacts, how she lives. And all of these things affect how we speak to Amy, how we talk to Amy. Now, this composite doesn't tell you what to talk about, but it actually expands the possibilities to talk about just about any topic, because now you know how to talk about it, to really relate to the composite. It doesn't change what you do, it affects how you do it. You approach the show with a different sensibility, a different angle. It's easier to find the entry point for content. By the way, if you create your own station profile or target composite profile, this makes a great poster. You can blow it up into an 18 by 20.
Okay. I'm just gonna stop it over there. Please excuse there's background noise because there's a guy that's replacing uh, piping in my ceiling. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna stop that. And all right. What I will do is I'm going to quickly open up a Word document. So quick question, just did you understand that? Did it make any sense? Did it make sense? Should I say? You can either answer, just give me a thumbs up here. But we are going to have an interaction. All good, good, Jewel, good. Okay. All right. What I'm going to do then now is what we're going to do is going to split up. So I'm going to take these areas just here. Just give me a second. I just want to copy and paste them, right? Right. Copy. I'll share the Word documents in just a second now, right? So that we can actually build these different aspects of our particular our particular composite listener. Okay, I'm going to share it now in just a second. Here we go. All right, so let's talk about this particular listener. There you go. All right. So as I move along with this, maybe should pop up now. Come on. All right, there you go. Saying it's shared on my side. Okay, so we need a name. So let's just say it's he's he saw so who is I would say let's say 20-year old look, female. All right, and obviously a student. Okay, full-time student. Okay, and Boston Media House studying BABJ. How about that? Right. Okay. Studying, excuse me, practices in journalism. All right. So I want to be able to break down these different aspects: school, friends, relationships, sex, online, social media, and family, to as many of those particular those breakaways that you saw in the video. So I'm going to start off the thought process. So with school, obviously, there's the whole thing about doing well at studies. So just going to say there, okay, there's obviously relationships with fellow students, relationships with lecturers. There's obviously subject matter, so subject matter in terms of the different subjects, and also becoming proficient in various areas, interest. Okay, other things like finding strengths, professional strengths. Okay, we could look at, let's say, maybe concern about enough practical application, practical real world real world applications of studies. We could also do in learning how to use time management. Also dedication and commitment. Dedication and commitment. Consistent commitment. So it's going to fix it for me, right? Commitment, okay, to applying self. All right. So let's say, I would say also school. Okay. Learning and creating networks, industry network actions, right? And obviously there's a bit of a fear of what will happen after studies are completed. Right. Okay. So you can just tell me how. So I'm just now writing these random, not random things. Obviously they've been thought out, but I'm making these points around school, right? Just around school. So let's go from one to another. So Tiani, like, do you want to tell me how doing well at studies can allow us to make any type of decision on air? I'm saying so. I'm saying within the station. Excuse me. Um. Oh, she's gone. Okay. So Jewel, it's just you, right? Jewel, do you wanna let me know? So how would that say that apply to anything, whether it be on air or off air or like yeah, tell me.
Mm. Doing well at studies. Let me think.
So any decision we'd make as a station, right, that services her. Okay, let me give you a hint, like an example to lead off. So we can, for example, do weekly 1 hour specialty shows on how to improve study skills. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, right. We can, I suppose. Let me just keep quiet. Okay, let me just keep quiet. I was going to go into the advertising side of stuff, so bring in clients, whatever it may be. I would. Here's another one. We can advertise, I suppose, like junior lecturers. So the tutors.
Yeah.
Yeah, tutors are good, right? So that you can and extra workshops, whatever it is, we can create with extra workshops. That obviously would be for added value, So to also tackle that kind of like more understand that advanced understanding of the subject matter, but also it could also give you an edge on becoming a better professional. Does that make sense? On how we're going to, how we'll spin off stuff. What about relationships with students and lecturers? What do you think we could do with that? Are you thinking? Are you fine there?
I'm trying to think, but nothing is popping up.
So kind of on the we can do a show where lecturers and students, like representatives, I'm saying, can talk openly about matters that both are having difficulties with. For example, did you understand? we can call it Common Ground. Like the show can be called Common Ground on BMH Radio. And then we have one part, like for example, um, let's say we could talk about commitment or dedication or the concept of follow through or whatever it is. And we can have student representatives that talk to lecturers and lecturers talk to students, I'm saying to you, right, about how
Okay.
they experience things and how they obviously receive things on both sides. And then there can be a mediator in there. It's obviously great because it works really well. Agree, right? We can also talk about, let's say, we can do shows or content about peer pressure or about self identity, because you are finding out finding out more about who you are and the people around you. So we can also talk about, um, we can explore different things. I'm saying parts of the student's life when it comes to emotional attachments, dependencies, trust, obviously pressure, um, conflict again within a friend circle. I'm saying to people that they're starting to identify with or maybe clash with at I'm saying to you while they're going through it varsity. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. What about so like here finding professional strengths? We can get experts to like we can what about this, we can get companies, let's say once a month, to allow for certain students that are doing really well to come through and be mentored, right? Okay, and we can share that kind of mentorship process or like via podcasts or whatever, right? To help, let's say a mentor can help someone really hone in on what they're really great at. You understand? So
Yeah,
become a
yeah,
bit, does that make sense so far?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. What about so this again I think would be covered, I suppose, by I would okay, let me just keep got my ideas. So what do you think about how would we address maybe the whole thing about real world applications of studies, like that concern? Because a lot of students say that they feel like there's a disconnect between what you study here and what you actually need there.
Yeah.
What do you think we can do?
Um, I don't know, maybe once a week conversation about how certain courses relate or connect to real world
Mm.
I don't know, but like trying to find a connection between the what's happening in the world and whatever the student is learning at school.
Okay, we can even create a feature. Okay, it's a good idea. I mean, that works, right? We can create a feature where we can test what a student would do versus a professional working against in the industry. You understand? So we'd
Mm-hmm.
have, let's say, three students up against a professional and be like, here's the host can give a situation. You understand? I'm saying like we can give them a bit of a case study on air, simple
Yeah,
ones, and
yeah.
say, what would the students think they would do according to what they've been taught, and then what
A professional.
yeah would actually does in that situation, um sure. I mean that obviously, I mean well, good. I mean if we find that the varsity is disconnected, then that also showcases some kind of, I'm saying, way forward for us to rethink maybe the syllabus or the way that we maybe create formatives or expect experiential learning, etc., right? Okay. So, does that make sense? Right?
It does. Yeah, it does.
Okay. All right. Then let's look at friends. So, so relationships here. So let's do friends specific here, and then let's do, I would say, more romantic relationships here. You understand? All right. So let's do friends. give me some point. Anything that like you saw is it like it says everything about her, and you know what I'm saying to you, like describes currently her as a typical listener. Give me some points.
With friends, I would definitely go first with peer pressure.
Definitely, right?
Mhm.
Peer
And
pressure.
I don't know, group studying. I don't know.
How about
You know how?
dependencies?
Oh yeah.
Dependency, yeah, dependencies. So, so second, dependencies. Uh, so, and that can be, I suppose, I mean, that can be also the risk of loss in identity, I suppose, identity and independence, dependence, dependence, right? Is that right? I'll find that in just a moment. Independence. Also we can dependencies in terms of like the other side. So an extensions of who you really are. You understand? So dependencies in terms of that uh, reliability, reliability, trust, right?
That will also go with competition. Not in those words,
No,
but
no, you're right. Reliable. Sorry, she said. So I'm gonna put here. So competitive competition, eh? Competitive
ness.
to it'll fix it for me. I don't know.
It's
To,
TT, actually TT,
uh,
and then VE.
no,
Yeah.
that's not right.
No, I mean like TT as in TITI, not
Yeah,
double T.
yeah,
TIT.
yeah. And then, oh my word, competitive.
Another I.
Yeah, it'll
What?
fix it. It'll fix
Just
it.
an I.
Anyway,
Okay.
yeah, competitiveness, right. So also comparing, and it could be social, say structure, like a hierarchy, right?
Mhm. Also influence.
Yeah, definitely influence. Um, yeah, yeah. Is that yeah competitiveness because you wanna yeah. Also, popularity, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and acceptance, eh?
That one. Yo.
Yeah. So let's say about uh recreation, I suppose. Recreational family,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, why not?
Recreational family.
So like sisterhood and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, like I say, it's true. I mean, again, I say recreational just because there's it's supposed to be a different temperament completely with your friends compared to, let's say, your mother and father, for
Oh yeah.
example. So, you know, you would obviously they are extended family. So I'll say the extended family.
Yeah.
So, so a sense of um personal
Belonging.
trust.
Okay.
Huh?
I
Well,
thought
you
you would
understand?
go for sense
Yeah.
of person.
You know? But then there's also doubt. I mean, you know, there's doubt, there's self question.
In what sense?
I say, you know, when you are considering someone to be one of your close friends, you know, a lot of people sometimes question people's intentions, you know? So there's a
In
bit of
other
a
words, you're never sure if they are really your friends, like you can put 100% trust behind them?
Well, the thing is, again, you should eventually. I'm saying, but in this particular stage of life, you're busy. To be able to trust someone, you're going to go through a process of doubt,
Mm.
questioning. Yeah, you understand, questioning. It's kind of like um, self trust. I'd say self trust, self worth, that type of thing, right? Um, what else?
Yeah, I'm lost. I'm speechless. I don't have anything else.
Okay, that's a nice way of saying it. I don't want to say anything more. It's good. Relationships.
You mentioned like romance.
So this will be particularly about. Let's consider this under the romance factor.
Mm-hmm.
So here definitely um insecurities. Everyone will always question some sense of insecurity. Ah, me and spelling. Yeah. Anyway, this is what word I'm saying. This is what happens after years of autocorrect. Anyway, insecurities, right? Um, ideal partners, right? Kind of like ideal or dream partner, suppose. Partners, soulmates. Hmm? Conflict, obviously conflict resolution, trust issues around infidelity, I suppose. Huh? Infidelity. Um, sexual health, right? Health and uh active, not activity. No, I suppose activity. I want to say activeness. Active. Is that how you spell it? Nope. This is on bad today. Good Lord. Activeness. Give me more. From your side. Hello. You there? Oh, he's gone. Oh, Nintendo. You're yeah. Hello. Does your mic work? Okay. So while yeah, I'm just going to assume that you're listening, right? And I will continue with this as I move along, right? Uh, uh, Nintendo, can you switch on your mic? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm just busy on a call. Just a few seconds, I'll be back. I'm
Okay,
so sorry.
no worries. I will continue with exploring some of this stuff.
And what you're talking about, are those possible topics for a radio show?
No, so this is breaking up the composite listener.
Oh, okay.
So we're trying to just break that particular person, the student, right, into what makes them tick, different
Oh,
aspects, school, friends, relationships,
okay.
sex, online, family. I'm gonna put, let's say, again, career, be more there. I'll wait for you to. I'll wait. Let me know when you're finished with the call.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I'll just hang on here for a second. Okay. Natanda's also coming back now. Are you there now, huh?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
How far
So,
are we? Dream. Okay.
I saw activeness. I suppose that my thing is about what is it when you call, like, you're not dating. It is obviously this
Abstinence. That's not.
no, like people don't want to commit to they don't want to commit. Does that make sense? Like they don't want to commit to the title. And that this happens quite a lot, assumed.
Yeah. But
So what is that? It's not informal dating relationships, it's casual. Oh, casual, yeah.
I can go for that.
Casual relationships. We obviously know that it's casual sex as well, but I suppose no, but it's true. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you know, and also do that. Like, so for example, they can with sex, obviously, like awareness, I suppose. Again, awareness, identity, definitely. Identity,
Status.
status. Are you talking about health status or like who you are? Like,
No,
are
that
you
like the health, meaning knowing your status as if you have,
like you have a sexually transmitted disease?
Yeah.
STDs, STD, sex health, uh, sex health.
Mm.
For example,
Yeah.
your pressure, definitely pressure. There's exploration.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Uh, danger. Uh, uh, risk.
That's a better
Risks.
word. Yeah.
You know. Uh, what else would I say? Um, the capacity to talk about sex openly.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's that. All right, let's try. What about so online and social media for me are
Same thing.
the same thing. I'm just gonna put it here. So digital activity, presence. Sorry, presence, social media. I'm gonna say identity. Okay. So obviously we have the different accounts, sure, right? Again, we mentioned before there, a pseudo status. So also like an alter ego, content creation, pseudo. Oh, no, it's close. Content creation and pressure of society, right? Pressure of trends, pressure of trends, likes, status. I'm gonna say
Fame.
support. Hey, say again.
Fame.
Fame, definitely. Fame, a loss, a risk in loss of loss of connection. Risk in loss of true connection. Connection. Also, risk of like, you know, the way that you see the world. So
Perspective.
Yeah, there we go. Loss of perspective. Thank you. That's a good word. Perspective. Right. Say yeah, and that's fine. Global trends versus local trends versus, I want to say private. So I'm going to say interpersonal. Personal trends. Pressure of commitment. I'm saying, because we're looking at a media student. So developing a brand identity, right? Developing a brand identity. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for that one. What about family? So, I see no one's there, so I'm just going to continue, finish it. All right, let's look at family. So, relationship with mother, father, grandparents, parents. Okay. Sibling rivalry versus sibling support. Effects of being placed to a box by family members. Pressure of family expectations. Facts. Ethics. Traditions. Effect on self identity. Self identity. Okay. Compartmentalized conversations. Okay. Okay. Religion. Religion. Duties and responsibilities. Heritage. I'm going to say rebellion. Let me just do this. Composite listener. BMH student. HBR. Okay, let me just do 24. Oh, where did I save this, dude? Second, yeah. Yeah. All right, then I'm just going to, so I'm gonna leave it at that over there. Wise, right? And I will share this across the WhatsApp group in just a moment. So I will see you next week. Right. Just end it over here. Nathanda, are you there? Good.
Yes, I'm here now. I'm so sorry about that.
No worries. Are there any questions around that? I know you attended quite. I don't know, actually. I wasn't paying attention much to the room. I was paying attention to what was on screen. So are there any questions around this?
I'll have to go to the recording because I really attended very late.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I like I say, I will share this breakdown with you all, right? But please, like you said, rather go through the lesson so that this makes sense, right? And then obviously I will see you on campus next week. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Yes.
Apologies for joining late.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. We'll speak then. Have a good one.
Okay. You
Cheers.
too, bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.